feel like I'm really in touch with my emotions. But it was one day, I can't remember what was going on, but I was talking to my brother and he hung up the phone and he said, "I love you." And I was like, wow, like, am I tripping? It's the best feeling in the world. Hey, what's up? And welcome to episode 2 of the Life with Zoe podcast. This one's a little bit different. What I want to do with all these episodes, episode 1 was the introductory to healthy dating and relationships. Not sure if I said that clearly, but this episode is the introductory episode to mental health and emotions. So we'll dig into deeper topics as the episodes go along, but I want this to be a introductory episode to open men to the idea of mental health and emotions is not something that's really talked about amongst men and handled in the correct way amongst men. We're always told to suck it up and be a man, whatever that means. I don't know when that started, but I've been hearing it ever since I was a toddler. Stop crying like a girl is another thing I've been hearing forever. And it's one thing that always was, it was weird for me because for me, I'm an empath. And I hate to say it this way because I don't want any type of drama or anything, but there's a lot of people who say they're empaths that are not. I don't think a lot of people really understand what it means to be an empath. And for me, because of that, I actually cry a lot. I'm a church kid and I'm a musician as well. So I played a lot of different churches and stuff like that. So anyone that has ever seen me in church knows I cry a lot. But I don't think probably 98% of them don't even realize that when I'm crying is 99% of the times it's not because I'm sad. It's not because I'm going through anything or my life is rough. If anything, usually I'm crying when I'm happy because I'm grateful to be where I am in life. And I realize that I'm blessed and that, just realize that I'm blessed and other people could have things worse than me. Another reason I'm always crying is because I actually can feel the pain of other people that are in the building. And so a lot of times, even while I'm playing, I'll just start crying out of nowhere, shocking myself. I have not thought about anything. I've had no type of thought or anything, and I'll just start, tearing up. So that's who I am. So I know you may say, especially if you know me, well, it's easy for you to talk about emotions and crying, Zoe, because it's something that you do all the time. That's just who you are. But I think every man needs to learn how to cry, and I'm going to talk about some reasons why you need to, not why you should want to. I'm going to talk about some reasons why you have to cry, not just because you want to or you're trying to develop yourself or whatever. I think it's very important. And so, like I said, this is going to be a little bit more relaxed, but this is an introductory episode, and I want to just talk about these things. So like I said, with men, I don't think men are allowed to have emotions a lot of the times. And that's from their homeboys and, even this day and time, sometimes I see, even women saying I can't have no man that's, crying or weak or whatever. Just because a person cries does not mean they're weak. One thing I can say about one of my friends is not that he cried, but he was just so meek and humble. He's so meek and humble. And he'll know I'm talking about him as I go on, but he's very meek, very quiet, very softly spoken. And one day I'm going to the gym, jiu-jitsu gym, and to train with one of the kids I was mentoring. And all of a sudden I hear these kids just run out of nowhere, Dusty Knuckles, Dusty Knuckles. Oh my gosh, Dusty Knuckles. And I'm like, oh, man, who's up in here? I know it's, it's jiu-jitsu and stuff like that. So I'm thinking maybe some fighter or whatever. And then I look over and I see my boy Kendrick, and I'm like, hey, Kendrick, what's up? And I realized that Kendrick is Dusty Knuckles. And I had no idea this whole time that he was a fighter, and he was a good fighter, very strong and very dangerous fighter. But he's so meek in spirit, So because a person is meek, or a man is meek, or he's crying, does not mean that he's not a man and that he's weak. Because I always admire Kendrick's personality. Hopefully you're watching this episode, bro. But yeah, so I hate that. It's even been times when I'm trying not to get emotions here, but one story that was really crazy for me. I went to do an audition, and in the audition, the male character's friend was unlifed, and me being an empath, I really tap into those emotions. And a lot of people, sometimes people see me acting, they're like, how do you produce those tears? Can you teach me to cry? And not to offend anybody, but making water come out of your eyes to me is not impressive. Like when I'm doing these scenes, I'm really feeling these emotions. And so it put me in a spot in the audition of the scene. My friend just passed away. And so in the scene, I started to cry, and then they stopped the audition and they said, I don't think this character would cry. And so now I know what some of you guys are saying, especially your actor, that, you know, the producer is always right, the director is always right, the writer, whoever is always right. And because they wrote it and it's their story. But I took great offense to that because, number one, I am a man, number one. Number two, I've been through this situation. One of my good friends when I was a teenager, getting in mama, see, well, I can teach you how to cry if I can do anything. But my friend David, when I was younger, was unlifed. I remember it like it was yesterday. I wasn't there, but I remember walking through H.E. Holmes train station on my way to work in Atlanta, and my sister Takira calls. I say, hey, what's up, Tiki? Have a little conversation, catch up for a minute, and then she, you know, gets me ready, and then she tells me the news, and I remember collapsing in the floor of H.E. Holmes Station, on the dirty floor, right in front of the machines where you get your cards and put your money in. And I just sat in the floor and wept for, I don't know, maybe 15 to 20 minutes. I finally gathered myself up and I sat my back against the wall and I just sat there. Mind you, I was on my way to work and I never made it to work. I might have sat there for another 90 minutes before I even called my mom and told her the news. And these people in this audition were telling me, he's from the hood. This character's from the hood. He wouldn't cry. He wouldn't have those emotions. I'm sorry. I can't let you guys continue to push this stereotype and narrative that because a black man grows up a certain way that he doesn't have emotions, he's a robot. A lot of the times we are the way that we are because people tell us that's the way we're supposed to be. If you continue to hear that, then you start to think nothing's wrong with it. I don't want to go off on a tangent, but it makes me think about how they continuously say black men are not good fathers. They're not in the home. So if you run into that situation as a younger black man, it's easier for you to say, well, they say this is who we are anyway, so there's not a big deal for me to not be in my child's life or whatever. Whereas there's other races that's not said amongst them. So it's like, oh, this looks bad. I got to be in my child's life or I'm going to look bad. So you got to be careful that you don't let people just continue to tell you the narrative of who you are, and that's not who you are. It's very important that men cry and have emotions. Let me keep going because getting off topic here. Episode 2, we're going to get there, but let me talk about this. Tears have a job. I got to get back on topic. tears have a job. And sometimes this job, not even sweating can do, because I know you're probably thinking, well, water is water. If I get the water out of my body, it's still good, right? But tears have a job. And one of their jobs is to get rid of what we call adrenocorticotropic hormones, right? Now, that's the science of it. But the adrenocorticotropic hormones produce cortisol, right? But if we were to skip all that stuff, because you're like, oh man, I don't know what any of that stuff is, to make it basically, it's pretty much adrenaline, right? So it's the tears' job to get rid of this. And so this adrenaline, the cortisol, and so on, this is what helps you. Let's say if you get in a dangerous situation, you're walking down the street at night with your lady, and I don't know, somebody jumps out the bushes. Your adrenaline goes up, right? Because you ready to fight or flight, as they say, right? You're ready to fight and defend your family, defend yourself, right? And so your adrenaline goes up. Now, it's important for you to cry, because if you just keep collecting this adrenaline over time, it just builds up. And these are one of the things that can cause you to have insomnia, because this is adrenaline. And this is oftentimes why, this is for everyone. There are certain things that we do and you don't realize why, but this is why you cry yourself to sleep. You ever heard a person say that? Because maybe whatever you're crying about, your adrenaline is so high that you can't sleep, you know? And so once you cry, you let out all that adrenaline, the cortisol, adrenocorticotropic hormones, and now you're able to sleep, because you've come in pretty much, for lack of better words, you've come down off of that high. So a lot of the times when men are like, I'm not going to cry like a girl, and I'm a grown man, whatever, you're continuously storing that adrenaline. That's why you have insomnia. You know, granted, sometimes you can't help it. Maybe it's your job that's stressing you out, because this thing, let me say this. I mean, this can come from not only the fight or flight situations when somebody scares you and adrenaline rises up, but this is from stress, the stress and difficulties of life that you deal with. So a lot of times at work, maybe your job is stressing you out and you feel like you can't get rid of that, but you need to, you have to, you have to get rid of this, because you'll start to develop insomnia. And I found this out the other week. Like, I work pretty hard or whatever, but I had a week when I was just I was up a lot. I was up a lot, and I was just not getting sleep. And I woke up one morning and I was in bed checking my email. And then as soon as I stood up, maybe it was vertigo, whatever, I could not catch my balance for anything in the world. It was like something out of a movie. I mean, it was like I was drunk, high, and everything all at the same time. And I kept trying to catch my balance, and I grabbed the dresser. Everything was just lopsided, and I couldn't catch my balance. And that was from lack of sleep. And I really don't want to say this on here, but I think that it's more important that you have sleep than even water. And you know how important water is for your body and for you to live, but I think sleep is even more important. It's more dangerous to be sleepy, they say, than even being drunk. Like, you could die of lack of sleep. So it's very important for you to cry these things out of your system. That's how your body gets cleansed of these different things. So it's very important for you to cry and to just have them and deal with your emotions, But yeah, that's one thing that you have to deal with. And also, another cause of this is also it does increase your appetite. And so this is for people in general, men and women. I don't think they realize that there is science behind these things, and some things with science in the body, there's different levels. Like, this leads to this leads to this, leads to that. And then by the fifth step is like when those four things compound, then that's maybe why somebody is diagnosed with cancer or something like that. With these things we're talking about with not crying, is one step. Once you don't do that one step, now these are the side effects of those things. So increase the appetite, because you're not letting those emotions out. This is men and women. You have this increase of appetite because of these hormones and things in your body. And now that's why you have this thing where we call eating your feelings. What you think is going on is that I'm sad and I want something to do, or therefore I'm going to eat to fill my time. That is not you making that decision. That is your body. I believe it's the increase in insulin. So now your body needs to have more food to take care of that problem. And also this leads to diabetes. I know I'm probably throwing stuff out there and scaring you guys, but all this stuff can come from, let me say it that way, can come from simply not crying, not dealing with your emotions in a healthy way. So you're eating your feelings is not your choice. It's what your body's telling you to do because you got these different things in you that you need to cry out or get out of your system. And so that's what I'm saying. This is not a thing where it's like, oh, you want to, just learn to cry because whatever reason, like you need to, you have to, you must cry. It's very important for you to know how to do that. Another thing that the crying gets rid of is, oh my gosh, let me see if I forgot this one. I think it's leucine and enkephalin, leucine enkephalin, which is pretty much, for lack of better words, it's a painkiller and pretty much like morphine. And so this is why you see people say, when they don't cry, you are saying the correct thing because you're holding in your tears, you're holding in your emotions, and you're holding in your pain. And that's why you become numb, because you need to cry out those painkillers that are blocking those, how am I trying to say this? Just to break it down, it's blocking your emotions because that is still in your body and you need to cry it out. So this is what I'm saying. Like, there's a lot of reasons that you need to cry just beyond, how it looks to your family. I mean, because those are important too, but to teach your children and loved ones how to, especially your children, how to cry. But there's reasons that you have to and must and need to get these things out of your system. So crying is very therapeutic. Tears have a job to do, and you shouldn't stop your body from doing the things that it needs to do. And, like I said, so, suppressing these emotions is what leads you to depression. It leads to depression and anxiety because, as I tell a lot of people, sometimes you just need to talk. And it kind of sucks this day and age that a lot of people do gossip and they want to tell your business, and you want to make sure you have good friends that you can talk to talk these things out, because if not, they stay trapped in your head and you just constantly think about these depressing thoughts. And that's why you get stuck in depression and get, some people just lock themselves in the house with their own thoughts and they don't have anybody to talk to. And because of this, a lot of men deal with loneliness because they don't have anybody to talk to. And I hate that it's pushed so much in the media, social media, films, and the constant narrative that, you go to your boy and, man, I broke up with my girlfriend and I'm sad about it. And it's like, man, you gonna cry over a girl? That's got to stop. It should not be a thing where you can't go to your boy that's supposed to be your friend and tell him like, yeah, I'm sad. I just had this breakup or whatever. And, I just want to talk to you about it. They should not be telling you, man, you gonna cry over here, man. There's other women out here we can go talk to or whatever. It should not be that. And I hate that things are like that. And so for that reason, a lot of men just keep all their emotions in. Women, they gonna go out for drinks or they gonna go on a vacation and talk about it. And even though it's probably not the healthiest, they're gonna be like, oh, he wasn't no good, no way. And we didn't like him, no way. They got that support system that they can talk to. When they have a breakup, and men are a lot of times left to deal with it on their own. And it's not about who was in the right or the wrong. And that's another thing I'll talk about in another podcast. But maybe he was in the wrong. Maybe he was regretful. Maybe he wasn't in the wrong. But you still need to talk these things out. And it's just very important that you talk these feelings out. And I'm trying not to get too deep into this because I want this to be introductory. But yeah, you need that good male friend that you can talk to. Yeah, it's cool if it's your mom, your dad, or a cousin, or maybe it's a lady friend, but sometimes that can get dangerous. But yeah, we need to stop doing that to each other as men. Like this is on us men. That we need to be better supporters of one another, especially when it comes to even like work. Some people are not feeling fulfilled in their career. They're feeling like they're not where they should be. And they should be able to go and talk to their boy about this and say, man, man, I thought this was going to work out this way. And I was building this company and it didn't turn out the way I wanted. Or, man, I had this opportunity and now I feel like it's taken away and I don't know how I'm going to recover. Like, these are the things we need to talk to. You need to have male friends you can talk to about more than the football game and who's up in the playoffs. Like, that's great. I'm not knocking you for that. I love basketball and stuff too. But you should be able to talk to your boys more than just football, basketball, and Instagram baddies and, all that kind of stuff, and going to the club and picking up girls. We need to stop making fun of and picking at men for having the emotions and if they need to cry. And I know I'm probably seeing some stuff. Y'all gonna be like, yo, pause. Hey, yo, that's crazy. No, you should be at a point, leave that to the young guys that are, teenagers and maybe just got out of college or whatever. But once you start getting your 30s and 40s and 50s, once again, and I know, watch it, some of y'all gonna be like, yo, pause. But you should be able to have your bro, man, like, man, I just need a shoulder to cry on. Look, some of y'all probably just burst out laughing, right? But I hope you mature to a point where it's not looked at as like, man, that's for women, man. That's, like I said, pause or whatever. Like, you should have that one bro that you should be able to cry on his shoulder, say, hey, man, I ain't letting nobody know this, man, but work is not working out. My finances are not where I need them to be, because, as a man, when your finances are not where they need to be, it's, let's not lie. Like, it's hard to feel like a man. And, sometimes you get double beat up because, and I would like for, the women to, if you're dating a guy, take it easy. Like, I know we got this whole gender wars thing going on or whatever, but he doesn't need to get beat up anymore. He knows it. He knows his finances are not where he needs them to be and wants to be. And maybe he can't figure out what's the next move. I don't want to get too deep into this, but I know even when the film industries that I'm in, a lot of people have been in denial, but I've been talking about it for 2 years and trying to warn people. A lot of people said I was being negative, but I was like, for the last 2 years, I was like, yeah, the film industry is going down right about around the time we had the strike. And a lot of people thought it was going to do good for us, and we won. And I said, the whole time the strike was going on, I said, this is bad. This is very bad. You're not about to get what you want. They're going to use this as an excuse to prolong things. And I think for 2 years, we haven't had a pilot season. But at the beginning of that time, when it, wasn't a lot of film work to do, because I do stuff in front of camera and behind camera, it was my lady who said, hey, you can pivot and do this. And that's, even though I'm talking to the men, that's what the men need in that time. If they lose their job or they're in between jobs, they know they need to find another job. And I know you're saying, well, it's not my job to be his mom. I'm not saying be his mom. And I know people always like, well, he's supposed to be a leader. Leaders need to be lifted up sometimes too. So, but yeah, she was like, you have the skill here. You can do this. And instead of me saying, I'm the man, I'm gonna make my decisions, I know what I need to do, I listened to her, and things worked out really well for us and stuff. So, I'm on a tangent now, but, yeah, so you need to be there for your boys. Stop knocking people for, having emotions and crying, because like I said, if you don't let those tears out, you're literally allowing poison to just run free in your body, because the adrenaline is good at that point when you need it, but you don't need to be storing adrenaline, all in your body. You need to get rid of that. And I see something that a lot of men say, and it sounds really cute and it sounds good when they say it, and you'll see men say, I've been hard my whole life and I never really had emotions until I had my first baby girl. And they said, when you have your first daughter, that's when your emotions wake up. That sounds beautiful. It really does. I'm gonna be honest. It sounds beautiful, but there's a problem with that. That shouldn't be the first time that you tap into your emotions. I think one of the more important things to talk about is when men hold in their emotions, they blow up. And there's a reason they blow up, because I'll put it this way. if you're just teaching a teenager how to drive for the first time, you're not going to take him straight onto the highway where everybody's driving 85, 90 miles per hour. You're going to take him on a back road. You're going to take him in a parking lot to let him build up his skills and his control of being able to steer the vehicle. So if you're a man, and it's your first time dealing with those emotions when you have that baby girl, trust me, baby girl, or your child, maybe it's even your son. Maybe some people say their emotions waken when they have their first child. But if that's the start of you developing your emotions, the first time they do something that you don't agree with, you're probably not going to handle it in the best way because you haven't been used to handling your emotions. You're going to glitch out. And matter of fact, it's funny with the car analogy. That's why they call it crash out, because you haven't had enough time to build up your control of those emotions, just like the teenager hasn't had enough time to build up his control of the vehicle. So he can't go straight on the highway. He has to stay in the parking lot for now. So I think it's very important that you learn how to handle those emotions and become, just know how to handle them well before you have children. Because I do see, like I said, my father passed when I was a baby, but sometimes I see the way people handle stuff and it's not the best way. And it's because they didn't practice. And last thing you want to leave your beautiful baby girl with is daddy issues because you didn't know how to properly handle her in the right way. And, maybe you snapped at her a little too hard, or you were a little too hard because maybe you thought she was going to become a teen mom or whatever. And if she does become a teen mom, which, maybe you don't want that, but learning how to handle your emotions earlier can really help you with that. So like I said, you don't crash out, but it's very important to practice using your emotions is pretty much what I want to say. But yeah, I guess that's pretty much the introductory part of it. Like I said, you really want to have guy friends that you can talk to, about everything, failures, and amongst men, let's stop that. Stop making fun of your boy because he's crying or whatever, and or he's in his emotions about a breakup or losing a job or something he failed at. They should be able to talk to you about those things. It's funny because it's talking about emotions. I kind of got at my emotions and maybe it wasn't as tight as I wanted this to be, but I hope this at least opens you up to the idea of having emotions, and not saying that's something for women or girls, because we all need them. And let me give you one task, and this is going to be crazy to ask on probably the first episode of introducing you guys to having emotions and taking care of your mental health. If you can, maybe it's not your homeboy, maybe it's your father, maybe it's your brother, a cousin, pick up the phone and call one of those guys. Maybe it's not your boy you play basketball with or flag football. Pick up the phone, call your dad, your uncle, your cousin, your brother, and actually say the words to them, I love you. Because once again, I'm pretty sure at least 10% of y'all, once again, hey, yo, pause, man, pause. Like, it's a crazy thing amongst men where you can't tell another man, I love you. Doesn't mean that it's your life partner or, you swing that way or whatever y'all want to say. You should be able to say that, you should be able to say, I love you, especially to a man that you have love for, your father, your uncle. Getting in my emotions again, man. It's crazy that I'm an empath. I feel like I'm really in touch with my emotions, but it was one day, I can't remember what was going on, but I was talking to my brother and he hung up the phone and he said, I love you. And I was like, wow, like, am I tripping? It's the best feeling in the world. It's gotta be in the top 3, top 5 feelings, to hear my brother say that he loves me. And, we always in our phone conversations with that now, but you'll be surprised what it does for you. hopefully it'd be cool if we have some testimonials after this from somebody realizing like, oh man, I actually feel bad after that. I told my brother I love him. Usually I just slap him or smack him on the head or, whatever. Just try that. I promise you, it's one of the most it's one of the best feelings in the world is all I can say. My mind is telling me that I flubbed a lot of words in this episode, but not trying to make it perfect. I want to get the message out there, and it is what it is. This episode went the way it went the way it was supposed to. So, my brother, I love you.